my senior project, I chose to solve a problem that for 11 years now has really kind of drove me crazy. Being that, you know, when you're golfing, you tend to have tend to use a cart. So when you actually like drive around fast and all that, your bag will actually fly around and move to the right and all that. And a lot of stuff actually happens to your bag that you don't really because, you know, you're thinking about your next shot or something. So I looked at the problem and I was like, okay, maybe I can do something like this. So I drew a few sketches, and I figured out, you know, you can actually do something. And I actually prepared a video just in case you still don't actually know what I'm talking about. Yeah, this was actually a pretty crazy drive to try to
Get the first shot.
Although, unfortunately, it didn't move as much as it normally does, but this was just a short test. And that's how it actually fits in the area. With simple pressure, it actually holds on. As I say, even the simplest things will do the job.
So sometimes I'm assuming if the ship's clear over almost to the middle of it,
Oh yeah.
they fall over.
Yeah. Well, there's only one like stabilizing bar there, and it just doesn't. Yeah, that's like.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. That's kind of what I made it out. So yeah, I actually drew up on CAD and did stress tests on it as well. Talk about that later. Okay, so like I said, the project description for this would probably be solving a problem in a real-world scenario and actually doing that. And as you can see, this actually, I took this picture after playing 18 holes. That's pretty far over. And a lot of things actually happen inside the cart or in the bag, I mean. Your clubs, because it moves to the right, will actually bang into each other. And the grips, because they are rubber, when you pull it out, when you're pulling out, it actually makes it pretty hard to do that. And it actually causes a little bit, yeah, it gets tangled up. And it actually is kind of frustrating when you can actually sit there and just keep on pulling, nothing happens. So this actually prevents that from happening as well. Like I said, it causes damage to the bag too as well because, you know, it's shifting on the bottom a lot. This eliminates that. First of all, like I said, brainstorming was a big process. Probably 30 to 40% of this whole project was just brainstorming. And of course, I had to get measurements to make sure that it would actually fit on at least Heron Creek's courses. But if I were to go further with this, I'd probably make different variants of it. So yeah, as you can see, I measured it all out, made sure that I actually went to the hardware store and discussed like kind of what I was going to do. And they gave me some hints there. And so I actually kind of made the prototype right after brainstorming in like a 1 month time period. And there's my sketches I actually drew in that first initial, like I could solve this problem's timeline. And it's pretty different to what I actually drew, so that's kind of interesting. And that's actually what it looks like in between. So there was some changes I had to make through the course of it. Now, as a engineering design process, you have to actually draw it out and make sure it works right before you really go crazy with it. And so I drew it out, measured it, and this was after going to the hardware store. I'm seeing what they had, what was available in the area. Just some basic technical drawings, what spring was used and all that. And I had to draw it out because I didn't want to have this fail in the field. So I actually did a stress test with the CAD program, and I put 25 pounds on it. And then also it has both forces acting upon it, because it's holding itself together, so the cart's pushing on it, and plus your cart will be, your bag will be pushing on it as well. So I wanted to make sure I picked a thick enough PVC pipe to work actually. And so that was like really brought to my attention how strong some things have to be. And then I also make a website with this, and a QR code is actually on the product itself. So because it's just, a project, I wanted to make sure they knew exactly like what was behind it. It's not just a product. And I just described how like everything went down and what I had to do to actually figure out what to do. And here's a picture of like the grip, because it moves around. So that was one of the things that I wanted to solve, was a little wear and tear that, like obviously when you're golfing, your hand doesn't go at that spot, so the damage had to come from somewhere. So to justify this project, spending all this time on it, I figured that there's got to be some crazy person out there too that hates moving the bag back to its normal spot, then pulling out the club, because I do that every single time, so why not solve that problem? And I also found too that it takes up a good like 20 seconds to do that in between shots. The initial moving, pulling it out, and then gearing up for your next shot. And currently in the golf world right now, they're actually, they're fighting speed of play, so I was like, okay. And if you didn't have to do that, you could eliminate 20 seconds out of, let's say you shot an 85, so that's 85 shots. That's a pretty good amount of time that you could eliminate. Maybe apply it to something else to improve your game, I don't know.
Yes.
So, like I said, it was kind of a weird way of doing it, building the prototype and then testing it, and then going back to the drawing board and all that. That's the design process, but it just seemed odd the way I did it. But I think it ended up working out. There was a few loose ends that I figured out, like painting it. I wanted to make it so it looked a little better, and the way my design was, or actually is it works with, there's a lot of friction there, and so I added, you couldn't put the paint on. I'd have to shave another fraction off of it. And I also found that when I first tried it, I didn't have this bed liner on it, and I could just hit it barely.
So
and it
that's
would
bed
fly
liner
off.
like from a truck?
Yeah, bed liner from a truck. It has like 7 layers of it. So
So when you go for bumps, as we do at Parent Creek, it doesn't pop out.
no, it
And that's
doesn't.
because you put the bed liner.
Yeah,
Bed liner
the
has
bed
no
liner is-
suction, even if that's smooth plastic or
Yeah.
dirty plastic.
Yeah.
So it has that sticky to it?
Kind of.
First customer. Kind of, right.
Yeah, I played probably like 36 holes with it, and it stayed in place. I didn't even think about it.
So it actually like.
Yeah, it has it right around.
Squeezes in there, you put your bag in, so it just.
Between the pressure and then
So, since you're board kind of, do you mind if I ask a question between? So you said 2 things. One, you said specific to Heron Creek, so is there that much of a difference between golf carts at different, golf courses?
Yeah,
Okay.
the newer carts kind of go away with the problem,
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
but you could fix it just by changing the
the
size.
length of it for
So,
whatever
yeah, just the
part
length.
And then when you did your stress test, you, used 25 pounds, is that the typical weight?
That's a pretty heavy
You tell I'm
golf
not a
bag.
golfer, so.
Yeah, like my bag weighs right around like 15 to 20
Okay.
pounds, so.
Mine weighs hard because I was going to go ball. Or I might lose that one.
I was gonna say,
I do.
So that was like the website that you could pull up, figure out what like is actually behind the whole thing. And, as you can see, that's
So
what
they
it is.
can watch the video.
Yeah, that's, and, so it actually cost me right around $5.25 to make that. That's with like the adhesive and all that, assuming that I'd make a ton
You
of
go
them.
on TV, so for
I,
$19.95.
I guess, you know,
Wait, hold on, the price of one.
Plus, pay for $75 shipping and handling.
That's right.
yeah, and like I said, it secures it by just the pressure of the spring inside, which I estimate is right around 8 to 12 pounds of pressure, probably. I'd say just, so it's not gonna damage any part, and you can just pull it away. I don't know if old ladies would be able to put it on, I don't, but, you know,
Didn't see that.
yeah, it didn't seem that, yeah, so.
I
Still
see.
say that, couldn't you? If they're playing golf, they probably.
Yeah, they probably did,
So have you made more of these?
I have a couple, but
Okay.
they were mostly just the prototypes,
Okay.
like, you know, I ruined the one that I painted, so I,
It'd be interesting even to see if you took it just to Heron Creek, it could be some bites for people to buy it.
yeah, yeah.
Have you shown it to anyone?
Chris Kyle was pretty interested, he's the golf pro there, so, and it's, you know, it's aesthetically pleasing, like, I feel like
Yeah,
it's,
You don't
No.
need to paint it.
I mean, we had
Yeah.
talked about different colors and just, you know, but you know what, if it works, it works.
yeah, like, it's,
Well, you could actually make it, if you want something brighter, your labels could be a color.
Right.
yeah, like, and as you can see though, it kinda pops with the black
The
on,
black, it
on gray.
It looks professional.
So, like, I don't see someone coming up and just being like,
Oh,
oh,
that's ugly,
what
I
is
don't
that,
want
like, you know, so.
Isaac, have you, have you thought about getting a patent
patent,
for
yeah.
that?
I looked into it and like the basic patent pending would be like $1,500.
That's expensive.
$1,500.
Yeah, to 15,000. And, you know, I also looked at the benefits and, you know, what could actually go wrong was, you know, I'm sure somewhere there's some version and you know, no
But
one
you could
wants to
sell
be a loss.
something without having to
Yeah,
patent
yeah,
it,
you could,
know, 'cause
yeah.
somebody
Had
can
to
only
take
do
the
it.
shark tank.
Yeah,
But
the
somebody
worst
can also
thing is-
steal your idea if it's not out there and,
Yeah, but like I said, though, most of the carts are starting to kind of get rid of it, but there still is the problem, which would be fixed just by trimming it.
And
How
I
many
keep looking at
prototypes
it.
did you have?
What was
You
that?
had- I thought it was prototype 21. Did you have 20 before?
2.1.
Oh, 2.1,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Yeah.
what, so you've had, okay, that's it.
I wondered if
That-
there was connotations for even some other places other than golf carts, you know, places where you put stuff and it moves
Yeah, you could
around.
almost use it as like an industrial toilet paper.
that's exactly what I was thinking,
Yeah.
like toilet paper holder, that's exactly what the design is.
Yeah. Or like,
I know, I want one.
yeah,
I
like
want
shower.
one of those too.
Hey, there's your ad, this
Oh,
is a
scooter
great
tanks in
golf bag
place.
stabilizer,
Yeah,
no
I can see
crap.
that.
Because they would be strapped to the top and do the same thing, couldn't
They
they?
do.
Have you thought about?
Sorry, you're not even done with the presentation yet, we've had to run amok with
Yeah.
questions.
That's okay.
I was gonna say, making a batch and selling them at the golf course, I don't know what the
Yeah.
legality
Yeah.
is there, but.
I think if Chris is interested, I think he could. I mean, it's no different than any other product somebody comes up with and says, or the flea market.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can see that.
You don't have to have a patent for that, and
Yeah.
my dad makes his own flies, fishing flies, and he goes around to the local bait and tackle places and sells it, that,
As
you know,
long as
you
you had an
could,
agreement with Chris, I think you could put
you could
Yeah.
go
line
from
up of them.
golf
Okay, let's
course.
let him finish his
Sorry,
presentation.
I could
We're
see-
gonna help
I
him
could
sell it.
see-
We want
Yeah.
to jump to the next step, everyone else will be on the ground floor.
Yeah, and the only like suitable like way of fixing the golf cart being, you know, a little big, not really form fitting to the golf clubs or golf bag would be to buy a cart bag. But even them, they still, you know, shift around. It's not really a real solution, and they range from like 250. You know, it comes like 1999 or 250. So I don't know. And those can weigh up to like 50 pounds. So if you're like me, who jumps on a golf cart and then the next day, you know, walks 18 holes, you know, you're not gonna do that with a bag, and it's a pretty big hassle to actually move your clubs and all your balls and everything into a different bag. Then, you know, they're a little bigger, so if you have like a car, you wouldn't be able to put it in. So there's a lot of drawbacks to you know, getting a cart bag. I figured out the target market would probably be like college or high school players, but even the avid golfer, most of them don't actually have cart bags. So the market's pretty big. And want to say they estimated right around 28 million people played golf in the U.S. last year. So the market's kind of like I said, it cost me $5.25. I broke it down into like every single part, and that's what it added up to. It was kind of a disassembly of it. Like I said, MSRP could possibly be $19.99. Who knows? You know, you could buy a new cart to fix that problem, but I don't know. Yeah. And like I said, cart bags can range pretty high up there. Now, I actually, like, here's some drawings that I actually did, since you can't really see it on there, it started out pretty raw, and it turned into this, so.
Have you been taking the engineering classes?
Yeah, 3 years now, so, using
So
that,
you understand that process?
yeah, design process.
Thumbs up to Mr. Taylor.
What am I majoring
Got that on
in?
tape, right?
It's actually gonna be business at Kelly School, going to IUPUI, so. So,
Oh,
yeah.
There's probably golfers down there teaching them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I said though, it started out as that and it, formed to that, so I'm pretty proud of it.
So Isaac, did you enjoy this process, so you might find another problem and try to fix it like this?
Yeah, I could see it. Like, it wasn't that hard, it's just like I said, brainstorming and actually finding a problem that you can fix, so.
Do you feel less frustrated now? Because you
I
said
do.
this was
I know I use
your
it every
mission in
time.
life, so, but that's
And
awesome.
like I said, it weighs like nothing, it'd be equivalent to
Nothing
water
is
bottle.
expensive, but it's effective.
Yeah, it does everything you really need to do, even hold toilet paper maybe.
Big rolls.
Oh,
For us, it's big loaded.
Very good. Very good.
Any,
And,
oh, sorry.
Oh, what were you gonna
Any
say?
surprises along the way that either that you found out about yourself going through this whole process, or about the design process, or anything that was kind of like, wow, I didn't expect that to happen?
The design process can be kind of tedious, that's what I found out, that, it's drawing everything out and then figuring out something. Like I said though, I did actually go to the hardware store, build the prototype, tested it, and then kind of did some of the stuff.
So you had their expertise, you kind of tapped into.
Yeah, I tapped into like hardware store people, and then I actually, for this part right here,
Yeah, how'd you
rubber
figure out
on it?
the truck bed line?
I had truck bed liner on me at my house, but I also called my uncle.
We all have truck bed
It's lying around.
True engineer.
But yeah, I actually called my uncle, and he's a truck driver, so I think he might be mechanically inclined enough to do that. And they said like felt paper, and
But this stays in here.
yeah, that
You have
stays
to
on.
add it. You have to-
Yeah, so and like I said, that's like 7 layers, so it doesn't really come off.
Did you, were you scared when you did the stress test that I put all this time into this design and then it
Well,
hold, or did it
well,
break a time?
I did start with the CAD program to make sure that I was.
So the CAD program can tell you will it hold?
Yeah, yeah. Calculate actually how much will actually break, and PVC holds quite a bit, especially when it's wrapped in each other. So,
So you knew the strength was probably good.
yeah, and then I went on to actually test it in the field. So,
Very cool, yeah, because most people I know that golf sometimes carry the bag, and sometimes take the soccer, and then different courses.
And it'd be so easy just to have this in there, which is
Right,
like
it
versus the
fits
back.
right in the golf bag.
it weighs nothing, so.
Well, like she's saying, her scuba,
Oh, yeah.
I bet
Yeah.
there's other
It's
places,
a lot bigger.
this design would be helpful.
She wants a scuba tuba.
The back of my car, believe me.
I can see it then.
No, I have to stuff my weights in it where the tanks roll around.
And maybe they make them, but you could use that like in the back of a van, they have that little, depression, and then.
So everything doesn't roll from one side to
Everything
the other.
moves from one side at
Yeah.
a time. like-
That would be your mom's going home with groceries or anything else. If
Right.
you don't have enough to fill the spot.
They put those nets, but they're worthless.
Yeah, I can see.
There you
There's a
go.
lot of different places for it.
And it started here, don't forget. That'd be Lakeland, Lagrange, Indiana.
We all went in on the shares. Well done.